Kids are growing up in a world where relationships are now more complex than ever. With the rise of technology and the explosion of social media, these precious little ones are exposed to all sorts of messages about sex, relationships, and body images. When it comes to talking to children about sex and relationships, it's natural to be unsure where to start from. But what is more important is knowing that these conversations are more about teaching them the skills that they need to build healthy and strong relationships throughout their lives. It is on this note that we have in the studio with us today Mrs. Christiana Oluyomi to discuss relationships, consent, and boundaries. Mrs. Oluyomi is a sexual abuse advocate, and she also works as a volunteer at the Spring Center, where they provide legal, emotional support for victims of abuse. Mrs. Oluyomi, it's really nice to have you in the studio with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. You did really well with my name.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
So I'm trying with the Yoruba thing,
right?
Very,
very good. Very well.
Thank you so much. You look very beautiful, by the way.
You look amazing.
Oh my God. Oh my God, stop it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right then, so let's get right into it.
Okay.
We are talking about relationships, consent, and boundaries, and the emphasis is on our children. Why is it important to talk to children about sex and relationships?
Okay, thank you. It's really very, very important because, you know, in this era and this age we are in, children have been exposed to a lot of misinformation, maybe from the media, from friends at school, in different places. So teaching children about sex education helps them to know about their bodies, about consent, and even how to build healthy relationships with other people, because children are equipped with the right information. They know how to spot abuse, they know how to spot predators, and they know how to, you know, remove themselves if they come across people like that. It also helps them to, you know, with their friends, to build healthy relationship. They understand boundaries. They know where to draw the line when they are relating with their friends. They know how to just be respectful to other people and their boundaries also.
Sometimes it's difficult to start this conversation. Some persons are shy to talk about it. Like, where do I start from? My child is just 2-3 years old. How do I even start talking about parts of the body and all of that? And I'll use myself as a good example. I started talking to my daughter about her body before she clocked 2.
Very good.
As soon as she clocked 1, and I was sure she could hear me, I started telling her, Mama, these are your breasts, this is your vagina.
Calling them by their name.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And what some parents do is that they say, like I know about the boy kids especially, they'll be like, this is your rod. I've been to a house before.
This is your toto. Some will even say your engine.
Engine for what?
Many names.
And I actually encourage a lot of persons to. It's called vagina. Say it the way it is. Don't decorate the name. And I kept talking to my daughter about these parts of her body, and sometimes I'll tell her, okay, what is this? And she's looking at me. She can't say it after me. Do you know that when she eventually one day, like the routine, Mama, show me your vagina, and she just went straight, she pointed at it, I was dancing. I said, oh well. It worked. And right now there are certain places you can't touch my daughter. She will scream. But I was conscious enough to start that conversation
early.
But how about parents who cannot start? Now let's talk about encouraging people. How do they create that environment where it is okay to talk to children about sex and relationships?
Okay, I know that for many people, just like you started with, for many people, they may say it's difficult, they may say it's awkward or embarrassing.
Awkward.
No matter how you feel about it, you still need to talk about it. From the moment your child begins to from the moment they are able to form words, you begin to introduce these things to them. If you can say this is your head, don't touch your head that way. Why can't you say don't touch your penis?
Good.
Say it by the name. If you can call the eyes, they are just like every other body part. The only difference is that they are private. So let them know that this is your breast, this is your vagina. For a boy, this is your penis. This is your hand. If you can say your nose, don't pick your nose. Then you can tell your boy, no, don't fondle your breast like that. Or for the boy, you can say, don't touch your penis like that. So there's really nothing to be embarrassed about. Because if you don't teach them, I always tell parents, where you can teach your kids openly, without judgment, is the home. Even when they make mistakes, you know, for some kids are very funny. In fact, they say the darnest things. In fact, sometimes they will say some things and you as a parent, you are dumbfounded. Like, where did you pick this from?
I know, right?
In fact, sometimes from the conversations you have with your husband or maybe your other family members, they pick from it. So please, no matter how awkward you think it is, from the young, in fact, their age appropriate languages for kids. But from the moment they can pick their words and form their words, begin to tell them this is your penis. If you arm them with the right information, then they know. You can imagine a boy that you've sent Toto or something else, you call it Toto at home. At school they call it engine, and the boy comes and says, oh, somebody touched my engine. You call it Toto at home, they call it engine somewhere else. But if you have told the child, so you're wondering where is the engine. If your child is not articulate enough or cannot express himself or herself enough, then you are struggling to, what's he saying? Is it the breast? Is it the, do you understand? So we need to tell them what they are, call them by their names. There's really nothing to be shy about. And I know that there are some people who say that maybe for, you know, culturally, or for some people, maybe because of religious backgrounds, there are some taboos and stereotypes. They just believe that there are some things that shouldn't be said maybe in some places. As sex, in fact, when we talk about sex education, so some feel that they are too young to be exposed to things like that culturally. But no, because even now, for the organization I volunteer with, we go to churches, we go to mosque, we go to schools, we go to organizations. So please start with your kids at home. Don't expose them to what they are going to learn from outside. It's best to be learned at home.
Picking up from what you just said now, do you know that if you fail to, talking about why it is important to talk to children about these things, if you fail to equip them with the right information, they will go out there and they will learn it the wrong way.
Absolutely.
Because if they don't know that this uncle or this auntie is not supposed to touch me like this, by the time they go out there and certain things are done, they are learning the wrong things.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you know that in fact these uncles sometimes will be the one to introduce them? I'll tell you for a fact, for many people, their first sexual experiences started from so-called uncles, family members. Gone are the days when we believe that sexual abuse or abuse is done by maybe strangers. No. These days, in the home, right under your nose, because we have fathers defiling their daughters, we have mothers fondling with their, because now I don't want to concentrate on just the girl child, even the boys. So we really need to, in fact, we need to be very meticulous with training our kids on sexual education. Please, and please, do not trust just anybody with your children.
I
do not trust anybody.
Someone told me something some time ago, that when it comes to sexual abuse, everybody around the child is a suspect.
Thank you. Everybody's a suspect.
That was exactly how the person put it. Everybody is a suspect. So always put yourself on guard.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned something about boys. I think our culture doesn't encourage men to open up about certain things, right? So when a boy cries, they tell you to keep quiet. You are a man. Why are you crying? Men don't cry. And when certain things happen, I had a friend some years ago who told me that their nanny, a woman, every day she baited him when he was younger. She was always fondling with his penis. Every morning before going to school, she always played with his penis. And she did that for a period of over 4 years. And eventually one day he was just at home, and that he got introduced to masturbation early. So when auntie was not around, he would be the one playing exactly. And then on one fateful day, he started releasing, and then his mom bumped into him in his bedroom. He was around 11, 12 thereabouts, and the mom was shocked. They took him to the hospital, and then after a lot of back and forth, they realized that it was the nanny who had introduced him into it early. Luckily for her, she escaped before they could come back, because she got wind of what was going on. These days, I think there's a lot of concentration on advocacy for women, for the girl child. Why do we hear less of it about the boy child? Because I know there's a report that 1 in 5 girls is a victim of sexual abuse, and 1 in 20 boys is also a victim. We concentrate on the girls. How about the boys?
I'll take it back to the culture. You know, most times, just like what you said, they say when your boy is crying at home, boys don't cry. Don't do that. You don't whine like that. Stop throwing tantrums. Big boys don't cry. All those kind of expressions. It needs to stop, because this is the root of boys bottling up emotions. Things happen to them, and because they've been told, raised, brought up to think that they can't express themselves, they grow up with that mentality. So when things happen to them, you know, they feel like, I'm a man, I've been told to, you know, just handle things by myself, and they just keep it. On many of our outreaches, when we go to schools, we don't take the class together.
Okay.
We try to take girls separately, boys separately. We teach them the same things, but of course, you know, what you're going to teach girls
will be different from
what you teach boys, because of course we have different body parts. And when we do this, because if you only talk to your girls, what about the boys? The girls, when they get to school, they will meet the boys. You know, boys also need to be told that, okay, there are boundaries. You don't talk to a boy, even your fellow boy, like that. You don't play like that. Not just girls now. Don't touch a girl's breast. Even boys, don't eat your fellow friend's penis because he's a boy. So because we've heard of cases of boys being defiled. In fact, I once read of a case of a boy that was defiled, and you know, they just noticed that whenever he wants to pee, he begins to have this burning sensation.
Wow.
And of course, maybe because he's a boy, the mom didn't think that maybe he was defiled or something had happened to him. Until they took him to, it got so bad that when this boy wants to pee, it's going to be terrible.
Wow.
Terrible. They took him to the hospital, and it got so bad that at some point he started releasing maggots from his from his penis. Let me call it penis.
My goodness.
So you can imagine, if at the early stage, or maybe they are told this boy that, okay, nanny. Some people are so comfortable that because I have boys, you know, some people feel like I have boys.
Honestly,
I don't really need to worry. Your boys, if you don't train them, they will go out to do things they are not even supposed to do to boys. They themselves, they can also be victims. Do you understand? They can also be victims because boys like them can defile them. Even women can defile them. Maybe their mates or people that are even
older than them. Yes.
So we need to stop concentrating on the female children. Let's, you know, balance things up, because it takes two to tango.
Talk us through some of the challenges that people will experience, you know, having to have these conversations with their children. Because of course we are having this discussion now, and the aim of it is to challenge people to action, right? So if for beginners, people who have not been on this road before, and they are listening to us and they say, okay, this is actually a good idea. Let me start talking to my children about their bodies, about relationships. Where do you think is a good place for them to pick up from?
The best place is when they are small. But if you've missed it at that point, it's never too late.
Wow.
Start where you are.
Okay.
Begin to talk to your children. And please, parents should stop being overly strict. If you are too strict, your children will not find you safe to speak to. If you are too strict, when things happen to your children, they will rather find solace in outsiders. So please, be friendly with your children. Encourage communication with them when they come back from school. Just sometimes you don't even necessarily have to ask a question, what happened to school? That may even be too direct. Just pick up with, oh, after lunch, what did you do? Just make it the conversation very light and very friendly. Don't be too strict. If you are too strict, your children will not open up to you.
Wow.
And please, for children, I want to believe that there are some people that their children have probably experienced abuse before. Provide emotional support for them. The home should always be safe. It's not that when your child tells you that uncle touched my breast, you not shout, hey! I've told you, Oti Beju. Sorry, Yoruba. Oti Beju. You're overly friendly. You're always sitting on that uncle's. No, that's
blaming the child.
Thank you. That's not the time to criticize that child. Otherwise, if you do that the first time, and if something like that happens another time, that child will not come to you. So please be friendly, and also parents should also model communication to their children. If you as a father or mother, you don't know how to speak to your children, it's not just a children thing. Even adults, some adults need to learn how to communicate. In fact, when you offend your children, you are not saints. Even parents will make mistakes.
Of course.
Learn to apologize to them. I'm sorry, I hit you that way. Let your children know that their bodies are their rights. Even I, as your mother, I cannot touch your breast like that. Daddy cannot touch your breast like that. Explain to them, okay, maybe doctors can touch you.
You know why I'm laughing?
Alright.
We were just having our usual play in the house one day. And my hand mistakenly touched my daughter's bum bum. I said, hey, mommy, why did you touch me like that?
Why did you touch my bum bum like that? Honestly, that's the way it should be. When children know that their bodies are right.
And I had to apologize. I thought I didn't mean to.
That's the way it should be. You should. So once your children know that, even when mommy does something to me, if an outsider touches them, let's even say by mistake, they can be firm and say that, sorry, I didn't like what you did to me. They can even demand apology. Now I'm not talking about people who deliberately abuse them. So when children know their boundaries, body boundaries, and they know their rights, they know that, okay, this person is not supposed to touch me this way. My mom has told me that when somebody touches me this way, then I should, stay away or run away from this person. So please,
wow,
a lot needs to be done.
Now, very quickly, what do you do when you notice your child has been abused? What is the first thing that you do?
The first thing is, of course, take your time. Don't be dramatic. Don't overreact. I know that at that point it's expected or it's understandable if you break down, you begin to cry and say, hey, I've died. That's not the time. Put yourself together. If you need to give that child the hug that child. Let that child know that everything will be okay. It will be okay. It will be okay. And if you need to, go for counseling with that child, why not go for counseling? Because there are so many people that have been abused when they were kids and they grew up to live with that trauma. In fact, I can tell you that most people that have been abused go ahead to even abuse others. Sometimes because they just want to retaliate. Sometimes because maybe it was done to them when they were young. They understand. Some people just go ahead and explore. Sometimes they just find it. Some people even find it enjoyable. They wouldn't know that they've actually been defiled. They just say, okay, just let me keep experimenting. Let me keep doing this. Just want to explore more. So at that time, when your child comes to you and says, I've been abused, that's not the time to go for counseling, and be a safe space for that child.
Okay.
Whether in that moment and subsequently. Do you understand?
I want to just bring this in. Sometimes children defile themselves. Growing up, we used to have this thing they call mommy and daddy game. And I know a lot of things that happen behind the house. Especially at night when we go out to play under the moonlight. And then this person is cooking inside the tomato container and all of that, and then two persons just disappear and then they are at the back of the house. We know things that go on at that place, So even before the adults come for them, they've already done things to themselves. And a lot of parents do not know. They put their attention on the adults, protecting children from the adults. How about protecting children from themselves? Now that's where we talk about boundaries, right? It's not just uncle or auntie, your friends, your classmates, anybody just about your age. You have to be careful how you relate with these persons. Now, on a very final note now, let's talk about healing for people that have been abused. How do we create a culture that doesn't shame them or blame them, but to support them? I know that the Spring Center is doing a lot to offer some sort of support, both emotionally, mentally, and even legally. Talk us through about that, please.
Okay, so at Spring Center, we offer like holistic approach to helping sexual abuse survivors. We call them survivors.
Okay.
Yes, and beyond just coming and just talking to you, because really justice means different things to different people. Some people just want to come to you and they just need someone to share the pains with. You know, they've bottled up so much. In fact, some people will come to you and tell you that I was raped 5-8 years ago, not just yesterday. You know, when somebody comes to you and says I was raped yesterday, you know, you feel like, oh, it just happened. Do you need to do a medical checkup? No, there are some people that have been carrying this burden for so long, and they really just, some will tell you, I don't need justice. I've carried this for so long. I just need to put down the burden. So we are there to listen to you. We are the real. We listen to you. We don't judge. You come to us, we listen to you. Provide support, psychological support, medical support also, and even legal support. We do a lot, and I can say that we've, on a lighter note, we've been able to get justice for a number of abuse survivors. We've been able to get justice for them, and some cases are really sad. In fact, one of the cases we worked on, about going to 2 years, almost 2 years now, a young girl, an area uncle, abused the girl, and in the process he rubbed the girl's private part with some substance. I don't know what it is, and of course the man was picked up, interrogated. We had court sessions, and you know, some days to one of the determining court sessions, the girl passed on.
Oh my God.
It was really sad. It was so sad that many of us that were present at the court sessions, because sometimes we as volunteers try to be at the court sessions just to prefer support to survivors. The girl passed on, and I will tell you that many of us that moment, in fact, our ED that morning broke that news to us.
My God.
That morning, in fact, it took a lot for many of us to even be able to sit down in that court session, look at the perpetrator's face, and listen to the gibberish he was saying. But I'm glad that we are so rest in peace. But I'm glad that we eventually got justice. And the man, of course, we wanted the more harsh, what's it called?
Punishment. Okay.
Yes, but he got 7 years imprisonment. But that was, if not for anything, at least we got justice, something for that girl. So it's a lot, and it could be challenging. Challenging because sometimes some of the abusers threaten victims, especially in communities like this, or even in religious places. You hear pastor defiling the church member, a young girl, and they will call meeting now. Let's settle behind us. We don't want to. Let's not go to court. They will even offer you money. Don't worry, if she needs to go to the hospital, we'll pay, we'll settle the bills and everything. Let's not go to. Some of them will threaten you that if you like go to court, you will lose your life. So sometimes because of these threats, some people don't even want to open up, even when they know that we'll prefer the legal support and medical support and psychological support. You know, in this part of the world, aside somebody confronting you physically, there's also the diabolic means.
And then everybody wants to save their lives.
Thank you. So some people just let it go. And letting it go, in the end, you have the rest of your life to live carrying that pain.
Your last words to survivors of abuse.
You will be fine. You will be fine. And we are there for you. We are there for you to listen to you. If you need a shoulder, to lean on, the Spring Center is there for you.
Thank you so
Please
much.
also, let's be our brother's keeper. If you see something being done to somebody, you don't necessarily have to be a lawyer or a police. You can be assertive and call people to order. Thank you.
Okay, Ma, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show today. That was quite an emotional and insightful one. So that is all we have for you on the show today. I hope you learned something. And as we go into the new week, ensure that you protect every child around you. They are the future of this great nation. If you see something, you say something. Let's protect our little precious ones at all costs. If you want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button so that you'll be the first to see any video that we upload. Follow us on all of our social media platforms as well. Thank you so much and God bless you. See you next time.